So is it possible to delay dementia? So I thought this is an amazing study. This is actually an old study. Everything that I'm telling you, nothing is new. So everything is boring. We already know most of the things. What is the right thing to do? I'll give you this example of this nun study that started back in 1986. It's a long time ago. This is a longitudinal study where they tracked these sisters, so Catholic sisters near University of Minnesota. Their ages ranged from 76 to 106 years old. And Dr. David Snowden, he's a PhD, he's an epidemiologist, but he's really passionate about Alzheimer's. Unfortunately, he's already passed away in 2008. But I really like this study. I like older studies because, many times the newer studies are just the repackaging of the old mind. May not be the new information, but I think this was very transformational study, very motivational study that having pathology does not necessarily mean you will get the disease. So what they did, this nuns donated their body and brain to science. They gave all the data. So as this is a longitudinal study, they gave data about when they joined the convent. Like when you join a convent, as many of you know, you have to write an essay. So they did a linguistic analysis of the essay, see how good they have written. And based on your essay writing skill, it tells you about your thought density, your grammar, and stuff like that. So how cognitively good that person was. And the nuns usually have relatively clean life. They don't drink significant alcohol. They don't smoke. They're usually very active. They're very compassionate people. They're helping others. And these nuns, they kept record of all their exercise routines. So all their routines were documented in their journal. So they were able to go back and look at what they actually ate, what amount of exercise they actually did, how much social interaction they had. So these nuns were really invested into education. So these older nuns were actually teaching young kids about different things, literature and ability to read and stuff like that. After they died, they did a brain autopsy on these nuns. And guess what? Majority of these nuns had a huge Alzheimer's pathology. So they had this beta amyloid plaques, they had neurofibrillary tangles, they had lacunar strokes, they had an atrophy of their brain, everything. But if you go back and read their journal, they didn't have any symptoms. Even at the age of 102, they were walking, they were going to church, they were preaching, they were teaching all these kids, they were playing music, they were singing without any neurological symptoms. And you think, how is that possible? So you have Alzheimer's pathology on your brain, but you don't have any symptoms. Like, why did that happen? It's because cognitive reserve. Just like a bank balance, right? When you retire, and if you have $1 million in your bank balance, and you wreck your car, and now you have $50,000 bill, if you have $1 million bank balance, that's an inconvenience. You can handle it. Now imagine if your bank balance in your retirement fund is only $100,000, and then you wreck your car, and now you have $50,000 bill. That's going to make an impact into how you live your life, right? So what's a good age to start building your retirement account? The day you start working, right? If you start worrying about your retirement account when you're 50 or 55, your total balance is going to be much, much lower than if you start thinking about retirement when you are teenage years. You take your first job and you give your money to parents and put it under my Roth IRA. Your retirement account will look much, much different than somebody who is worrying about it at the age of 50 or 55. Very similar thing with the brain. How good our brain is starts in our mother's womb.